The Ionna EV charging network is still within its first year of opening up sites. However, the network is making tremendous progress. Now, a few weeks ago, I traveled down to Durham, North Carolina to visit their headquarters and their quarterback lab and speak with company representatives. Last week, I posted a video with Dan Bryant, who is the SVP of Site Operations. And that was part one of my update video series on Ionna. This video here today is part two, where I speak with Phil Retsch, who is the Chief Engineer of Charging Technology. Now, Ionna was formed about 2 years ago by 8 automakers: Mercedes, BMW, General Motors, Stellantis, Kia, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda. And all of those companies have their own Ionna technology labs, but the lab in Durham, North Carolina is the main lab. It's the lab where all the information comes into. So in today's video, I sit down with Phil for about a half an hour to interview him about Ionna's charging technology. Let's get into it. All right, so I'm here now with Phil Retsch. He is the Chief Engineer of Charging Technologies for Ionna, and we're in the Quarterback Lab.
That's right.
So, Phil, good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Tell me a little bit about why is this called the Quarterback Lab?
Yeah, excellent question, Tom. So, when we set out as a company, we're backed by 8 automakers. And the cool thing is that really allows us to leverage not only our own muscle, but their muscle as well. So in fact, this is the Quarterback Lab. There are 8, actually in fact 9 more labs at every one of our investing OEM partners and even some extra ones where we have set up test chargers that are exactly the units that we have in the field that we use to validate, to test, to make sure that every vehicle platform, every app experience is tested by the automakers, by the engineers that actually build it. So from day one, we can make sure that their platforms work well within our ecosystem. So that's why this is the Quarterback Lab, and really most of the orchestration happens here. And then we have effectively an entire army of additional test engineers at the automakers that help us get through our release cycles, and we have through that much more coverage and much more in-depth insight into what works and what doesn't. So it really amplifies our reach.
I can imagine, and I see you have, I think, pretty much at least one vehicle from all of the manufacturers that are the founding members of Ionna or members of Ionna here. But let's say that there's a new vehicle that's coming out. It's not yet released yet. They could do the testing in their labs. They don't have to ship the car down here, right? And that way, you don't have to worry about future vehicles being spotted or whatever. I remember one time when I went to Electrify America's lab, they had vehicles that weren't released yet there, and they had to put them under a blanket or whatever because God forbid you see a car that's a month from being released. So I guess that's probably an advantage that they can do a lot of testing there and share the data with you.
Exactly, and it's so important to start testing at these very early stages. So when these new platforms are released, even when software updates are made, or there may be hardware upgrades in those vehicles, but also the OEMs have certain user journeys built into their ecosystem with their app. We enable them to test this before anything is ever baked. So they know exactly what this experience is going to look like end to end before the car ever launches. And we can see early on if something goes wrong. We have all the log files, we have access, we can hand that over to them. They can hand their part over to us. We can assemble the data and see, okay, the user journey, top level looks like this. Here's the data stream. What is it that we need to fix? What is it that we need to jointly work on? It's really that collaboration between us and the OEMs that I think that makes us a little bit special in that sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Tesla is so vertically integrated with their supercharger.
Exactly.
Yeah, they make the vehicles, they have the equipment there. Well, they actually even make their own equipment, but they're able to do early testing before vehicles are even ready. And the fact that Ionna is, jointly owned by these OEMs, it gives them the vertical integration that, as soon
100%.
as they're releasing any type of a software update or a new vehicle, they can test it before they even could put a vehicle on a truck and ship it to a testing lab.
It de-risks that whole process. So rather than two black boxes, then eventually after launch, seeing each other for the first time, that introduces a lot of risk, because if something is wrong, how do you fix that once vehicles, once apps are in customer hands? So for us, it's really very important, and also for our OEM partners, it's vital that we get it right, and we get it right the first time around, because this first impression is very important. So our user journey is what we pride us on. So, and we want to get it right the first time, every time. Which is why we collaborate very closely with everybody, and not just our investor OEMs. So this is an open network. So we work with really everybody out there. I think we have tested over 60 different vehicle platforms, way beyond anything that is partially even on the road here with customers, just to make sure that the integrity for every customer, no matter who shows up, it works from day one every time.
Yeah, and you're expanding. I saw just in the news yesterday that Rivian now, Rivian vehicles have plug-in charge.
Launching next week, I think,
on the network, so that's a plus, and you continue to expand. You've got a lot of OEMs that have automatic authentication through plug-in charge.
Correct.
I actually put out that I was coming down here to talk to you guys on social media, and I got a few people ask me to ask this one question about plug-in charge. What about Tesla vehicles? Do you envision a point where they'll also have some sort of a plug-in charge or automatic authentication on your network?
It's a good question. So I think in general we listen to the market, right? So the market and customer sentiment and feedback is going to drive all of our decision making. If it is the right decision for us to engage with them and see how we can bring their vehicles into our ecosystem, then why not? So I think as soon as we had something to talk about, then we would share that. But yeah, I mean, it's of interest to drivers, so therefore it makes it interesting to us to explore it potentially.
Okay, you have one supplier for your equipment. Most of the other networks out there, other than Tesla, we almost have to stop saying other than Tesla, because they do things differently than everybody else. But you're the only network that has one supplier for all of your equipment. Everybody else has different equipment, and it's a different user experience depending on what site you go to. Talk a little bit about that was a benefit, I assume, just having to deal with one supplier, at least for the time. I know I've talked to Ionna executives, and they've said in the future, if another supplier came along that we liked their equipment, we would move to that. So talk a little bit about, has that made your job easier, that you just have to deal with this one supplier, this one piece of equipment?
Yeah, the way I would answer this is our vendors, and really each one of them, they provide the foundation which we build our experience on top of. So really my focus is mostly on making sure that that foundation is solid, and then we iterate on this foundation to really bring a customer experience into the market that is as good as it possibly can be. So, and right now we have one major partner, and that works well, and we're always looking at what is right for the customer. So if there is a need to explore other options because there is a tangible customer benefit doing so, then we absolutely would do that. So that's really our strategy, and that's what really drives all of our strategy. So it comes down to customer experience, and like we always bring this anecdote, like at your favorite gas station, at your favorite coffee shop, like you don't really care who makes the coffee maker. You just hope that they selected the most robust platform, and then they elevate the experience beyond that. And that's what we're all about. So we're never going to go and finger point, oh, vendor X didn't perform, so therefore it's their problem. We own it. Like, we own that experience. We own that it works every time, every single time. So, and that's really, that's the strategy.
Well, there's this one vendor we're talking about, and I know you typically don't mention names, but I can, is Alpitronic. And you use the Alpitronic HCY400 units.
Right.
They're 400 kilowatt chargers, very high powered chargers, 600 amps per port, so you can get 200 amps for 2 cars charging at once. But now we're starting to see vehicles come that can accept high amounts of power, even more than 400 kilowatts. Alpitronic makes a higher powered unit now, the HCY400. Is that something that's on your radar? Are you guys doing any consideration on that? I know it seems like 400 kilowatts is a lot, but very quickly it might, we might need higher powered chargers.
It's exactly. So I'll almost give the same answer as before. So the customer experience is what drives our roadmap. So new features like higher power are certainly on our roadmap, and we are looking at opportunities to vet that new system, for example, bring that in here and really shop it around with drivers. Like, we pride ourselves on running a lot of driver clinics to understand what is it that they truly want, what is it that they need. And again, that shapes our focus. So we want to stay focused, right? We want to work on the right thing at any given time to make sure that customers continue to have a really elevated experience. So, and if you get a signal from our drivers that higher power is what is desired, we are going to act on that, for sure.
Okay, and let's talk about the customer experience with this specific unit. It has an interesting display panel on the side of the unit. And it's interesting because that in itself shouldn't be an issue when you think about it, but I think sometimes there could be an issue with when you end charging, somebody's pressing the wrong button and ends the car's next to theirs charging experience. Has that been a problem? Is that something that you'd like to see the screen be on the front, where people almost, you lose your bearing when you're standing on the side and you're starting or ending a charging session?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. So we look at a lot of data from our field. So on the one hand, you actually may have seen that we have representatives on site throughout our network interviewing folks. What are the issues that they see? What are some improvements that they would like to see us make? And that's how we get this input. And screen position or some of the labeling on the charger is certainly things that are on the list that we're looking at. How can we make a meaningful adjustment if that is really driving customer outcomes? So we're looking at really at everything, not just screen location, but what does the entire site look like? So the site layout, together with the screen location, together with the very long cords that we have and cable management, usually provides for a very robust user experience. And again, if customers voice the concern that the screen could be somewhere different, then we will look at that as well.
Okay, and you mentioned the cable and everything. I have to commend you. The cable and the cable management system, and particularly the connector holster, is, I think, the best on the market. The connector holsters on some of the other networks, when I go to holster the CCS connector, it like flops back out and smashes, drops on the ground. I love how yours really clicks into the unit. Now, I know that's not that you didn't design that. That's Alpitronic's, but the user experience I found to be very good on the unit so far. Just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, we have pretty strict requirements on what the user experience is supposed to be, and that extends from the software through the user journey on the screen, how the system integrates, and the physical aspect. So we did prescribe how it's supposed to look, and we work with our vendors to make that vision a reality. Okay,
let's talk about something you don't have yet, an app.
Okay.
Are you actively working on an app, and Are we close to getting it? And you know, for a number of reasons. One in particular that we could also comment on, as far as one of the complaints I hear from people that use the network is they don't know where you are, because like the app, when I want to use Electrify America, for instance, I open up my Electrify America app. You know, there's in-car navigation, but sometimes I just want to use my smartphone and map out where I'm going. It seems like without a native app, it's a pain point for customers to see where you are. So let's talk about the app. Are we getting an app?
I'll give you the answer I gave a couple times. So we look at customer sentiment and customer feedback, and some of the feedback we got is we love the system as it is because it enables the users to use the apps that they're already comfortable with. We have integrated numerous apps with automakers. You can roam through ChargePoint, through Shell, so shout out, that works. Again, we are going to launch Rivian here in very short order. Ford Blue Oval app works. So customers don't have to leave their ecosystem to enjoy our network. So plus we offer what we feel is a pretty robust credit card journey and plug and charge. Like plug and charge is really the penultimate experience that we're striving for. And we have, again, a large number of automakers already integrated. So if there's a time where this demand for an app becomes such that it moves it to the top of our roadmap, then absolutely we're going to work on that. It's again driven by the need of the customer, the voice of the customer, and right now we have this large portfolio of authentication options that drivers enjoy that work really well, and you can find and you can map through those solutions through our network.
Okay, so it sounds like, at least for now, that's not a priority. You're not working on an app. So I mean, my next question was going to be, is there going to be some sort of a membership fee where you get discounted charging? You'd still be able to do that without an app?
So teaser, stay tuned for something in a couple months, but we are exploring options around that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we mentioned plug and charge. One of the things that I've seen complaints on in some of the forums was that if you had multiple plug and charge accounts with different networks, that when you pulled up to Ionna, it wasn't authenticating, although it does when they go to the other networks. Is that a problem that you're aware of, and are you working on it?
Yeah. So listen, we're not always going to get it right, but the good thing is the support network that we have with our automakers, it allowed us to. I know exactly the issue that you talk about. We identified that problem with that automaker, and there's in fact a solution that is in rollout where those affected vehicles will, based on geolocation through GPS, select the correct contract certificate to enable that automatic handshake if the driver is signed up for a Shell account. So we roam through Shell with plug and charge in that case, and that will work seamlessly in the future. Okay,
even if there's an Ionna site really close to a EVgo site, or not EVgo would be a bad.
It's pretty precise.
Electrify America.
Yes,
yeah, it's pretty
we
precise.
tested the heck out of it, and it works pretty well.
Okay, another pain point that I've seen is that some people complain about, and the fact that they don't have an app, the credit card reader wasn't working, wouldn't authenticate, so they couldn't charge. Are you aware of this? Is that a widespread issue on the network, credit card readers failing? I mean, they always seem to fail on other networks too. What are you doing about that?
Yeah, so I would go back to the reason that we have such a large number of authentication methods is to give the drivers freedom of choice. Obviously, we pride ourselves that including our credit card journey, that should be seamless. So, and I'll share this. We have made numerous improvements over these last couple of months. In fact, we have somewhere on the order of 2 to 4 software releases going out on a monthly basis to drive incremental improvements on a continuous basis. And this credit card issue that may have happened in the early days, where we had this white screen, that was fixed, and it's as far as we know, remedied in the network.
Okay, next up we'll talk about one of my favorite topics, adapters.
Yeah.
So first question is, what is Ionna's policy on using adapters on the network?
So maybe before I step into the policy question, we made a decision early on to make sure that there shouldn't really be a reason for customers or for drivers to whip out an adapter. So it's not really needed, which is why we outfitted every site with NACS connectors and CCS plugs. So in almost every case, and there are a number of them at every site, so in almost every case, the native plug for your vehicle should be available. That being said, we do fully support the adapters that are provided by the automakers for your particular vehicle. So our systems are designed to support the automakers' adapters.
Okay, so I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as, the utilization we're at now today, and you have on average 10 stalls per location. You shouldn't need to use one, but it certainly can be a case where you roll up and the 6 CCS stalls are taken, and I have a CCS vehicle and I want to use my adapter. So I'd push back a little bit on the fact that you don't need adapters. I would say that it's rare, but there certainly could be an instance where you need one. So now let me follow up a little bit. You mentioned that the OEM adapters. Mm-hmm. I have an adapter at home now. It's the Electron Vortex Plus. Mm-hmm. It's certified to UL2252, but it's not endorsed by an automaker. As a matter of fact, a number of automakers use the lower level Electron adapter, the one that is not UL certified and doesn't have an interlock. So are you saying that I shouldn't use my UL certified adapter on Ionna network because no OEM has endorsed it?
Yeah. Again, so what I'm going to say is that our policy is to support the adapters that are provided by the automakers. That is what we have tested, and it has to do with safety. So end-to-end safety is ensured through our testing. So that's our policy. Okay.
Just the adapters. Okay, gotcha.
That's right.
Interesting. So. It's like, it begs the question, well, what's UL 2252 for if we can get safety certified equipment and nobody wants to endorse it? And you're not the only network. I spoke with another network recently. They said the same thing. We only want you to use the adapters that your OEM is selling because we know they tested it with their vehicles. And I understand that, I fully understand that point, but it's hard for me to get over the fact that if there's an adapter that is safety certified, and UL 2252 is a high standard, that it wouldn't be okay. So, but that's everybody's position. That's your position also. All right. So, give me a little bit of insight into some of the things, or even name one thing that was harder than you thought it would be here. You've been in the industry a long time, and I've known Phil for years. For more than 10 years, back in your BMW days, maybe 15 years at this point. So you've seen a lot. So even with that background, you couldn't have come here and everything's been smooth. What's something that was maybe a harder hurdle than what you thought it would be?
Yeah, I think what was, I would say, a hurdle in the beginning, but we anticipated that, was to make sure that we have good observability of how do customers actually interact with our ecosystem. So because it's easy to develop something in a lab, test it, test the bejesus out of it, and happy path and everything looks good, but it doesn't mean that this necessarily translates into the real world. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of new EV drivers who have never charged before. So one thing that we learned early on is that our user journey on our screens, it was very involved, it was super informative, it gave you a lot of insight, but it got to the point where it may have been a little bit tech overload for folks. So again, we're not going to get everything right all the time, but observing that, like going into the field, talking to customers, looking at the data, allowed us to very quickly identify that let's simplify that. Let's simplify that user journey, and we're not afraid to make changes quickly. Again, it's all about the driver experience. The driver experience governs everything that I do, that my team does, that the whole company does. So if we find that we were wrong, we're not going to sit around and say, like, drivers should have used it differently. They didn't use it as I designed it. We will make those changes to make it easier for customers and drivers to elevate their experience every day. And we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop making those improvements until it's perfect.
Okay, so walk me through the procedure that you follow when there's a charger in the field breaks. Now you've got in the Quarterback Lab here, I see you've got your whole team set up, and they all sit right around you, which I think is a great way to set it up. Mm-hmm. You're all out here in the garage, so to speak. You're not sitting in an office somewhere. You're right where the units are. But now there's a problem in the field. Something breaks. As reliable as these chargers seem to be, they're going to break. They're going to continue to break. They're going to break at a greater rate the older they get. What's the process? Do you get a notification remotely, mm-hmm. and then you call a local, electrical contractor? Tell me the whole process on how you keep these units up, because to me this is paramount. Is that because it's been one of the biggest pain points in the industry is broken chargers. So how are you going to keep this network up as close to 100% uptime as possible?
Yeah. So first, I think we have some really good uptime numbers, so we're pretty proud of that.
Well, you should. But everything's brand new.
Exactly.
It's less than a year old.
But that comes because we have invested early on in what we call our observability platform. Mm-hmm. So this platform allows us to very quickly get any feedback from the network where things may not go perfectly right. So, and we've built alerting mechanisms around that, and that allows us to quickly identify any problem, and many of them now proactively. So we started reactive, then real time, and now we're going proactive. So before an issue manifests in front of a customer, we already can anticipate it and can be proactive, and if we need to drop, like we say, we need to drop people and parts from helicopters, we will do that. So that's one thing. The other thing that we're starting now is we do drills. So if something goes sideways, we make sure who is the person on deck, who's on first, who's on second, who's on third, to make sure that in case something goes sideways, we're not scrambling. So the more prepared we are in case something were to happen, the quicker any issues will be resolved. And it could be small issues all the way to larger problems. Mm-hmm. So I think those two things, observability, and then moving from reactive to real-time observation to proactive observation, and preparedness. So nothing beats preparedness. And again, we owe it to our drivers and our customers that they deserve a fantastic experience. And even though that it's hard, we're not gonna not do this.
Right, but who actually goes out and repairs the units? Is it mm-hmm. through Alpitronic? Is it Ionna? Who, like when you realize there's a hardware issue, it has to be fixed?
Exactly, so we own it. So we have our own staff, 24/7, 365, that can deploy throughout the entire network. And we will pull in from partners, from vendors to support if needed. But we own the dispatch, we own everything. We have our own spare parts inventory. It's always us.
That's actually, Ionna employees go to the sites and you don't subcontract out to local electrical contractors?
We may, but it always starts with us.
Yeah.
It always starts with us. Who we send out, we make the decision depending on the issue.
Do you have a goal on how quickly a charger should be fixed?
Absolutely. We have very, I would say, strict, I would say industry-leading service level agreements in place and targets for ourselves, and then with our partners. So depending on what the issue is, response, like we're measuring in minutes, not in hours, mm-hmm. of what the detection, mean time to detect, mean time to repair. Those are all hard numbers that we're tracking on a daily basis. And so far we've been doing pretty well. And as the network scales, that has to scale with it.
Okay. Listen, Phil, thanks a lot. I appreciate you spending the time here. It's always good chatting with you.
Likewise.
You're a world of knowledge. But I have one request before we end this. So I do charge recordings a lot, right?
Yeah.
Now I believe you have an Ionna site that's going to be opening in northern New Jersey at some point soon. You haven't broken ground on it yet, but I think I've seen that the permits were requested, and it's close to my house, like 10 miles from my house. So I could see myself doing my charge recordings. I like the screen that shows the whole charging curve and everything. The problem is your units time out every 60 seconds. And it's not just one button to reset it like I used to have to do on Electrify America. It's actually 3 presses to get it back to the screen that I want to display. Is there like some kind of special code or something I can put in the charger so it won't time out on me? Or could you maybe change that refresh to like, EVgo does a 4-minute refresh. I could live with that. Is there maybe any chance you could do a special thing for me there?
So let me put it in our roadmap. So Tom's special, and we'll get back to you.
You can give me like an RFID card or something, and I swipe it, the charger goes in like service mode, and nothing like that?
We'll figure something out.
All right, thanks. Listen, thanks
Awesome.
again. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And once again, I'd like to thank Phil for sitting down with me to answer those questions, and also for giving me access to the lab. I basically was able to walk around, poke around, see whatever I wanted to without any restrictions. So that's certainly appreciated. Really interesting about the Ionna app. I didn't know that. The last I had spoken with Ionna representatives, this is months ago, is that they were working on an app, and stay tuned. But it seems like that's dead now, and they're going to rely on the in-car information. I just hope that all of the companies have the Ionna locations integrated into their charging planners. Currently that's not the case. And even companies that aren't part of Ionna, we have those 8 founding members right now, and hopefully the Ionna network doesn't just end up in the navigation systems for those companies. It needs to be in the nav systems for all electric vehicle manufacturers right now. And I'm sure they're working on that, but that is something that I will follow up with the next time that I talk to Phil or somebody else from Ionna, which will be at some point in the not too distant future, because I promise to stay on top of Ionna and give you guys regular updates on the network. Well, that's all I have here today. If you have any questions about today's video, leave them in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.